Look, let's move on to the inflation data because new figures out today show inflation has fallen to around 6%. Andrew Charlton, the opposition is saying that this is nowhere near, they're saying it's double the target range of 2 to 3%. Is inflation falling as fast as you'd like? And is its fall keeping pace with the Treasury and RBA targets?
Well, it is double the level that we would like it to be. It's double the target range, but it's also half the level that the Liberals left us with. Inflation is still higher than we would like it to be. It is still impacting the kitchen table with higher prices and interest rates that are affecting many people. But it is good news that inflation is coming down, and that ultimately will be good news for interest rates.
Do you think they'll be left on hold next week?
Well, it's obviously not up for me to advise the RBA,
Yep.
but it's obvious that lower inflation gives the RBA more room to move, and lower inflation will ultimately lead to lower interest rates. So that is good news for homeowners. But let's remember that this really leaves the Liberals' economic credibility in tatters. They said that inflation would keep going up as a result of government spending. It hasn't. It's now half what they left us with. They said that the budget was out of control. We delivered a surplus. They didn't. They said that government spending would lift wages, and therefore wages would reduce unemployment. Unemployment is at historic lows, and we've had more job creation in the first year of this government than any previous government.
Bridget, over to you.
Well, the Treasurer's talking points are incredibly cold comfort for families this winter, as they've seen an inflationary increase on their heating bills in excess of 26% from last winter. The cost of things like bread, milk and cheese is around 15% increases. This is affecting people's everyday life. The government is not making changes to their government spending profile. They're not lifting productivity. And Andrew, you know that. No matter what Jim says, your IR measures are actually not going to lead to the type of economic outcomes we all want to see. Of course, we welcome inflation heading in the right direction, but the government could be doing a lot more in the everyday decisions it's making across a whole raft of portfolios to help with the heavy lifting to really relieve that pressure for everyday Australians.
Well, Labor's industrial relations reform forms part of Joe Kelly and the Australians' argument today when he says that Anthony Albanese is emerging as Labor's agent of change. He writes that given the coalition holds only 56 out of 151 seats in the lower house, Albanese knows he has an historic opportunity to make changes which serve Labor's long-term political mission and which can endure beyond the current political cycle. Andrew, do you agree with Joe Kelly's assessment that this is quite, a radical left-wing Labor government embarking on, quite extreme changes in a whole lot of areas, including industrial relations?
Well, I think the government is addressing the significant challenges that Australia faces, and it's dealing with those challenges in a methodical way and delivering on its election commitments. We said we would introduce a National Integrity Commission, and we are introducing a National Integrity Commission. We said that we needed to have a serious attempt to address climate change, and we are doing that. We said that the budget was out of control and it needed to come back to balance, and we've delivered a surplus. So these are significant changes in Australia. It is a significant change of direction, and when you change the government, you do change the direction of the nation. But they are methodical delivery on election commitments, and something that I think most Australians are welcoming.
What do you think about that, Bridget? I mean, Joe Kelly's point is that 14 months after winning office, the depth and scale of Labor's renewal project is more substantive than their election promises.
Absolutely. I thought Joe was very subtle in the messages he was making, an understatement. Things like the voice, which will fundamentally change our governance here in this country. I think this government has all the hallmarks of the Whitlam government, and we know internally that it is riven with conflict as the left wing of the Labor Party is in ascendancy, and simple everyday decisions like whether to phase out live sheep exports in WA, the right-wing Labor Premier is overridden, and the right wing in the Albanese cabinet is overridden and they're going to turn their backs on the very state that delivered them government because the left is in ascendancy. I think it's going to have significant implications for our nation going forward, just like the Whitlam government did.